What's up, everyone? Welcome into DodgerHeads, presented by DodgerBlue.com. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined this morning by Daniel Starkand, here to talk about one of our favorite Dodgers of all time, Daniel, but not exactly the topic of conversation we want to be talking about. Clayton Kershaw, due to be making his second rehab appearance today, but that will not happen. After experiencing some soreness in his last outing and then in through his bullpen session, Daniel, it was announced yesterday that Kershaw has been, quote, shut down for a week with soreness. We're going to get to how Dave Roberts is framing this and then new MRI results, but just immediate reaction. Were you surprised to see a setback in Kershaw's rehab appearance?
I wouldn't say surprised. I'd say, like, obviously you go into, all this stuff like optimistic, like, he was progressing as he should have. He threw bullpens, he threw live bullpens, and he progressed all the way to a rehab start. And at first we thought he came out of that feeling well. So obviously you're optimistic, but anytime someone's coming back from, an injury as serious as this, shoulder surgery, and especially at his age with the mileage on his arm, like, you kind of expect at least some sort of setback along this process. And look, that's not the worst thing in the world. Like, obviously it's not ideal. Like, let me be clear about that. Like, this is not great news we're talking about here. Obviously, me and you both love Clayton Kershaw, and we want to see him back on the Dodger Stadium mound as quickly as possible. And this is going to slow down that process a little bit. But I also think, like, rehab is not always linear. Like, some days you're going to wake up feeling great. Other days you're going to wake up feeling sore, and you just kind of have to manage it as best as you can and hope that it's not anything more serious, like that you need another surgery or anything like that. So, I think this isn't worst case scenario. It's not great, but I also think, like, we weren't expecting to see Clayton Kershaw until April or August or September. And I still think that's on the table here. We're sitting here on June 25th, and there's still, a lot of season left. So we'll kind of see where this goes from here, and how serious it really is. But for now, I'm still, optimistic we'll see him at some point this season, but this is obviously not great news.
Yeah, look, anybody who's watched our show or follows me on Twitter knows I'm especially invested in this, because the reason you see a different backdrop behind me is because I'm visiting some family in Reno, and I'm here to see the Oklahoma City baseball team play all week. And the hope was, I got really excited for about 24 hours when Kershaw was announced to be the starter tonight in Reno. And I was like, holy smokes, what a jackpot. And yet that was quickly taken away. Shout out to the Reno Aces, by the way. Anybody who bought tickets to see Kershaw pitch tonight are getting free tickets to a future game of their choice. So kudos to them for doing the right thing, by any fans that were hoping to see Kershaw pitch. But I think one of the things you said that I want to unpack a bit is that rehab is not linear. The idea that, like, once you start the process, it's just checkpoint, and then smooth sailing. Anybody who's followed baseball knows that's just not the case. And as you mentioned, especially with Clayton Kershaw coming back from shoulder surgery, his first major surgery, the age that he is, all of that. And so I guess, and I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I'm not saying this in hindsight. I actually believed it all along, that I was almost expecting there to be a bump in the road at some point. Like, it felt, just given all of the factors in play, and by the way, how ahead of schedule he was as far as this rehab appearance was going to be anyways, I'm bummed, but I guess I'm not surprised. And I don't mean that negatively, like, oh, I knew this was doomed from the start. It's just like, this is just seems like the type of thing that happens in rehab appearances for pitchers coming off of shoulder surgery, I guess.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And I think the key is you just hope it's not like a serious setback. Like, I kind of compare it to the Walker Buehler situation. Like, there was a point last year around this time where Walker Buehler was saying he was going to return last season, and here we are almost a year later, and we still haven't seen Walker Buehler make it all the way back yet. And he might not at all, or he might in a year or two, or whatever, or later this season, who knows. But I just think you kind of have to go day by day with these things, and listen to your body. If you are feeling soreness, like, I will say it's good that, like, he shut himself down, because we all know Clayton Kershaw is as competitive as they come. He wants to get back as quickly as possible. So he easily could have just continued, like, kept quiet about the soreness he's dealing with, tried to pitch through it, see if it would subside and he'd be okay. And maybe that would lead to him having another surgery. So at least they're being cautious here. Like, I think there's still a lot of season left, and having a setback on June 25th is definitely not the end of the world. We're not sitting here on September 25th where they're running out of time. Like, still, he could take a month off, and there still would be time to get him back to make a few regular season starts, and then you could kind of assess where you're at for the postseason. But yeah, I'm with you. Like, I wasn't expecting everything to go, perfectly every step of the way, and we see Clayton Kershaw at the All-Star break, and he'd have a 2.2 ERA for the second half or something like that. Like, I just don't think that was realistic. So I think at this point we could just hope that what they're telling us, and we'll get into that. We're hoping it's not serious, and time will tell, I guess.
Yeah, I know there's going to be some people looking at this and saying, hey, it's been 6 minutes and you haven't even told us kind of the punchline of the joke which is he did have an MRI. The MRI has come back clean. They didn't find anything new. The quote from Dave Roberts is that we feel very comfortable and confident that this is just a blip. The reason, if you've been a Dodger fan for a long time, we're taking 6 minutes to get to that point is because we know the first part, what we talked about, that he's going to be shut down for a week. We know that's real, and we know that's true. The MRI coming back clean, we're confident. Like, those are things that you and I, as Clayton Kershaw fans, as Dodgers fans, want to believe. Do you actually believe them, given the Dodgers' track record of handling injuries like this? Like, is there reason to believe and be confident that they are telling us the truth when it comes to their confidence level that he's going to be fine?
I mean, me and you both know, and anyone who watches our show regularly, they're also very familiar with Dave Roberts and the way he talks about injuries. So I don't necessarily think we could take what he says at face value. Like, heck, he said Max Muncy was going to have. They're confident he was going to have a minimum IL stay, and it's been over a month now, and still no signs of him coming back either. And so I don't think, you can necessarily take what he says at face value. And the truth of the matter is, like, no one really knows. Like, they're saying they're going to shut him down for a week. Like, I don't think anyone knows how Clayton Kershaw is going to feel in a week. So you kind of just have to take it one day at a time and see how he's feeling and go from there. So I love that they're trying to say that they're optimistic, but it's hard to fully believe it just because of what we've seen with so many different guys, pitchers especially. Like, I don't know how many times we've seen a pitcher miss the beginning of the year, and all year it's like, we're optimistic he'll be back by the All-Star break, then August, then September, and then it turns out, they're never back. So, I'd love to be optimistic, but it really is hard to take, what Dave Roberts says at face value here.
Yeah, absolutely. With you there. And that's the piece where, there's an alternate universe where the MRI doesn't come back clean, where they're like, hey, we saw some stuff and it's really bad, So, like, let's take the positives here that wasn't what we got, while at the same time with a massive grain of salt saying, to your point, let's take it day by day. If he's going to shut down for a week, all right, we're not going to get any updates for the next week. So, like, 7 days from now, let's see what the update is. Is it, hey, soreness is all gone, he's going to throw a bullpen tomorrow? Or is it, you know what, we're going to give him another week off and then see what happens? Because if you start stacking weeks that you're being shut down for, I think that's when, as Dodgers fans, there's real reason to be concerned. And so, again, mixed bag of news with Clayton Kershaw. Bad news, shut down for a week. Good news, MRI came back clean. All we're hearing from the Dodgers is that they're confident that he will be able to return, that they're not worried about this injury. So let us know what you think in the comments below. I'm curious, how many of you believe Dave Roberts when he says, hey, nothing to worry about here, nothing to see here, just a normal setback? Because that could be true, while at the same time, as Dodgers fans, we've been told to believe that before, and it hasn't exactly panned out. So one note real quick, and we've been mentioning this on our shows, but stay tuned to Dodger Blue 1958 on social media, because we have a sweepstakes going on right now with our friends over at So Rare MLB, where we are going to give 3 of our listeners, watchers, readers a chance to win 2 Dodger tickets to any game that you want this season. Yes, that includes the Shohei Ohtani bobblehead with his dog that's coming up later, I believe in August. So you could get 2 free tickets to that game. All you've got to do is a couple simple things. So check out Dodger Blue 1958 on Twitter, on Instagram. We're going to be posting details. There's just one thing you've got to do before Friday. So make sure you check that out for details. That is Daniel Starkand. I am Jeff Spiegel. Stay tuned here, by the way, to the YouTube page. I mentioned I'm in Reno. The hope is to be getting interviews with Dodger prospects, guys like James Outman, Andre Lipsius, River Ryan, potentially Kyle Hurt. So stay tuned here. Those are going to be posting throughout the week, in addition to the great content that comes from folks like Blake Williams, Matt Moreno, Daniel Starkand, and others. So enjoy the rest of your day, Dodger fans. As always, go Dodgers.